We're going to look at the general structure of the program and how it's organised. All our files are put in the C drive in the 3D scanner. When a file is captured, it is put in the data directory. Because we're a lab, it's a little bit different from a single user, but for a lab's point of view, I create a directory for everybody that's got a scanner, and I open up, and when I install a scanner, I open up the configuration file, and I name the scanner. If it's, say, from Ride Podiatry, it'll have Ride there. In this case here, it's the laser cam scanner. The serial number on it is 15, and the next job in sequence is 13. The subdirectory that I put everything in is C drive, 3D scanner data. In this case, I put things in the test directory. If I'm setting up a podiatrist and it's Ride, it'll be 3D scanner data and Ride. That's where they have to put their VRML files when they come off the scanner. If they save them to that directory, the program then picks it up directly. When the program opens up the file, it looks at the data directory and it will open up, in my case, the test directory, and it dumps all the files that I need in there. Once you pick up the left and the right foot and you prepare a script and you either send it to the lab or process right through, it then archives those and puts them in the archive directory. The archive directory is the directory that you should back up. So once you've completed your work, it takes all the working files out and puts them in the archive directory. We'll open up the archive directory. And there we have it. Now, what you can do, there's the whole myriad of different things that you can do here. If I want to reprocess a file, I click on it and unzip it. We'll put it back into the working directories. Then I can either open up the script, change it, resend it, whatever you need to do. I can have a look at whichever one I highlight. I can have a look at the short PDF, which just prints out all the scripting information, or I can put out the long. That's because I double clicked on it. Close that. If I view the long PDF, it's 4 pages long, but it has an image of the left and the right foot. Because jobs are sequentially set, we put them, if we get a job 3 from a client and we're missing, the next one we get is 5, it means that the FTP probably didn't send properly. We can ring them up and say, hey, we didn't receive 4, why hasn't it sent? Then what they can do is they can just click on resend job there, and it automatically gets sends that job back to us here in the lab. The clear and search, if you're searching on a name, say called test, because we've got thousands of files now, we can put the patient's name, and anyone with test gets highlighted, brings the list up for us. And then we can then open up on that particular foot. Archive to server, that's a command. That's for our backup. So once a week, we click on that, and then that takes it out of the local computer and puts it onto the server. I'm just going to open up PodView to explain some of these things. This is the script information. When we're looking at this and how it comes in, you'll see in here I've got, if the practice has say got 4 podiatrists, so you know which podiatrist has scanned it in. In this case, I've got two names. If you go to podiatrist, this is where you can add, change that list. The clinic name is called CAD/CAM Workshop, and you'll see that it's there. The reason you got, because these scanners can be portable, you might have 4 or 5 clinics you're working from and you want to send them to all clinics. See, this is the master backup directory. It's where it gets archived. This is the FTP directory, the editor directory, the scanner directory, and so forth. This is where they all are. Because we've approved for use 2 different scanners, you click this if it's a Vismark scanner, or click this as the photo scan, because it needs to treat the file slightly differently. That's for lab use. When we're sent CAS, we can, when we're scanning in CAS on a known setup thing, we can set that up and then it works perfectly well, and I don't really need to adjust things. It's just a saving feature. Can't remember what this does, to tell the truth. I'll actually have to go and have a look. And coverings. Now, how my lab works is I have 3 different basic styles that I've got templates for I cut out. I am building a 4th one, which is square in the toe, so I'll have 4. You can add and delete anything you want, or edit. If I click on one and then I edit it and then save, it saves it. I currently carry 19 different grades or colours of EVA. For every lab that'll be different, so they just add and delete what they need there. I have some 48 different top covers that I use. So you take out the ones that you don't use and put your own in. Your options here, I have over the years developed, I have 59 different options that people use to tell me what they want me to do, whether they want me to make hooks and things like that. It's a matter of going through the list and working out what it means to you and what you need to add to describe to the lab how you want things done. And it's just a matter of clicking on everything that you click on the left foot will come out in the right foot. If you only want it on one foot, you turn it off on the other one. Often we get a double cover situation where they want to use PPT or something underneath boron, and then that records both. And just down here they type in other instructions for both the left and the right foot, individual data when they're describing what they want done. Down here, if I load it up 2 feet first, you get your left scan, your right scan file, your left graphic file, and your right graphic file. The dispense date, we have a priority return. They can click that, they put the date in, we make sure we get it back on time. If you remember, that's the operator code and the scanner ID. Now the foot data, the template sizes, you do need to put roughly what size. This is the size of the shoe that they use. The insole thickness can be varied, whether they're measuring from where the bisection is, what the varus or valgus angle is. 3, if it was 4 on the right foot, you put that out, the foot had a varus. Then these measurements that I've spoken about before, between the dots on the feet, if it's 121, you would put that in. You might have measured that side to 123, and then the heel dot length was the back of the heel to where that dot would sit in the shoe. Shoe heel width, mid-foot width, and forefoot width. Once we've got the block of the EVA and we've finished shaping the top of the foot, we then grind it in so that it sits to the base of the shoe. If the podiatrist doesn't have a grinder on site and then they measure, get a pair of calipers and measure the shoe, that tells us how far they want us to, what angle they want us to grind it in. So if they say, I've measured the base of the shoe to be 6 mils and then they want to use the size 12, which is 6.5 mil, it means that we've got to grind it back in so the base is 6.5. The midfoot width is the angle through the, is how far they want the midfoot. We have a 45-degree grind, which allows for when they've got a build up in the shoe and the arch, they can then measure and tell us exactly how far they want to come across, and if they want a wider or narrower forefoot, they can tell us there. Again, if they've got that arch bulk, they can measure the height that it needs to go to and the insert length. The arch height, some of the podiatrists these days will define how high they want the arch to come, they put that in there. Extra heel depth, which is down here. If they're going into football boots or they want more lateral expansion than naturally comes out, they can say they wanted another 2 mils deeper, or etc. Inversion and eversion ramp, that keeps that tilts the whole foot right over. Obviously, inversions on the medial side, eversions on the foot. It tilts the whole device from front to end, from side to side. Arch fill just increases the, by percentage factor, increases the arch area. Lateral arch does the other side. You can put an internal heel lift in up to about 12 mils. After that, you're best off putting it externally. Heel cupping tends to give you higher sides around the heel. Again, that works on a percentage basis. You generally don't need as high heel cupping as you've used with the polypropes, but that's what you can do with that. Rear foot posting is, generally speaking, the difference between the rest and neutral stance position with our devices and the way the program's been written. It's a really, if you measure those two and work out what your distance is, that's the right way to go. If they supinate, use rear foot posting. Because we conform to the arch so well, you do need a PFA. So you select the size of PFA, and we have two different options. Some people like us just to do a straight cut into it to the depth for the PFA, and others prefer us to curve it around the front. A metatarsal wedge is to, usually we always assume lateral, because if it's used 99 times out of 100, it's a lateral. And what they're doing, if particularly the foot's got a valgus, they're walking off the outside of the foot and they want to correct their gait, that's when they tell us to wedge the front of the foot. If they want us to use external met domes and met pads, we find that they're a little bit more effective than building it into the device, because usually most of the EVAs we use are a little bit hard and they prefer a softer met dome or met pad. They just click there and then tell us what sizes we want. And I have two different companies that I buy them from. They're the straight teardrop ones, the small, medium and large, and the left and right dependent ones that you can get. Met pads is just a small, medium and large. We can also handle skive. Generally, if the podiatrist likes to use the skive, they can add it there so that we can set it up later on. And the scan position is normally, say they want a higher arch and they've determined, I've got some podiatrists that like to, if they say if you've got a tiberium of 15 degrees, they'll get me to scan the foot in at 15 degrees. And then I've got to tilt the whole foot over, and whether it's inverted or reverted. Once we've got all the information we want, we can submit the job to the laboratory and then save it locally, which I will then do in another video and explain that, because it'll be a little bit hard doing it from here. When we look at, when we send to the lab, if it doesn't go, for some reason it can't connect to the server, it ends up in view send jobs. And then when you get there and you're back online, you can click which ones you want to send to the lab. Or if you don't want to send them to the lab straight away, this is where they end up. You might want to work on them further later on. File operations is just moving files from one to another. Clear, search, copy, move, delete, and close. Full backup I've never used. I know it's there. Configuration, full backup, file operations. These three I'll do in other videos. Lab view is when it's better to use that in the lab when you've been sent 2 feet. You trim them up and it just jumps you straight into photo view. Photo view aligns the foot when you bring it in, and the editor is where you put your adjustments and you manipulate